Speaking of W's, Doug Ford really thinks he's taken a W here because he thinks the way around like billions of dollars in tariffs being slapped on the auto sector is, well, just take a listen. He's going to win the tariff war with the LCBO.
I said, number one, I don't start a tariff war, but we're going to win this tariff war. Right off the hop, I've directed the LCBO, we're the largest purchaser of alcohol in the world, to remove every bit of U.S. alcohol off the shelves. I know my good friend, the governor of Kentucky, he's losing his mind right now. I said, you better talk to your president. Mitch McConnell, senior senator from Kentucky, they're losing their mind. We purchase over $1 billion of alcohol, 3,600 products, 35 states. It's going to hit them. We would call them the kitchen table issues. Then we're going to cancel Starlinks right away from Elon Musk. Not that $100 million makes a difference for him, but it's principle. I've directed the procurement of over $30 billion of goods, not to go to the U.S., to make sure we buy Ontario first. And if we can't find it in Ontario and we can't build it in Ontario, we go across the country. We have 51 tariff-free agreements with countries around the world. We're going to diversify our trade.
Sheila, if I can weigh in on this, because this is something I know a thing or two about when it comes to the LCBO. First of all, when Doug Ford says the LCBO is the biggest purchaser of alcohol in the world, that's false. It's one of, but not the biggest. Secondly, Dougie, what are you going to do about addressing the anti-Ontario wine bias at the LCBO? The last time I wrote about this, Sheila, the LCBO allotted approximately 17% of shelf space to Ontario wines, even though those wines bring in 38% of revenue. Meanwhile, tons of space. Every country, every wine producing region in the world, France, Germany, South Africa, Portugal, Italy, Chile, you name it. You know, folks, go to, and by the way, the LCBO says we have to do this based on international trade agreements. That's a lie, because I had a lawyer go through the 1,400 pages to try to find that stipulation. It does not exist. So, and if you go to, say, a Parisian liquor store in France, try to find a single Ontario bottle of wine other than maybe ice wine, which they cannot produce in France. So if we're under international trade agreements, why aren't the other partners to that agreement? The reason? Because it doesn't exist. So when Doug Ford is saying he's going to make tough with Kentucky, his own, and by the way, I want to say this too, Sheila, the LCBO is technically a crown corporation. It is a government unto itself. It runs the racket. It tells their ministers and their bureaucrats how things are being done. So don't give me this crap about getting tough with international players that are being unfair. When your own Ontario Crown Corporation screws Ontario winemakers, and I would love, Sheila, I would love to get Ontario winemakers who have spoken to on the record, and they will not come on the record. Why? Because they will get delisted, right? That is your provincial run liquor monopoly. So spare me the pearl clutching, Doug Ford.
He also says that, he knows what we need to do if we want to survive these tariffs. Now, all of a sudden, he's turning his ire to his friend Justin for not removing interprovincial trade barriers. But this is something that he could have, Alberta's been saber-rattling against interprovincial trade barriers for ages. The Western provinces have. But when you are Doug Ford, and you need to not fight with the feds because you need your battery plant grants, you keep your mouth shut until you absolutely have to say something. So this is what he's saying.
What jurisdiction in the world can take 5 to 7 to 10 years to get done? That's done. We're going to move forward. We're going to work with First Nations communities. We can't be dilly-dallying around for 5-10 years while our neighbors to the south are saying, come to the U.S., we'll get your permits for a year, and you have to invest $1 billion. That's what we're up against. Those rules have to change. If we want to survive these tariffs, literally, we need to make sure we move forward. We need to make sure that we get the federal government out of our way. No more duplication on assessments. I just love working with Webequay and Martin Falls. Aeroland, we don't need the assessment. We're going to start building that 80 kilometers of road. I want to thank the First Nations communities for working with us, because that's going to make sure their communities are prosperous.
Sheila, this is staggering. I said earlier on in the show that one of his promises at the victory speech last Thursday was developing the Ring of Fire, which was identical to the promise he made when he first won the election in 2018. And this guy is so tone deaf. He says we can't be dilly-dallying around for 7 years. You have dilly-dallied around for precisely 7 years on this, Doug. Aren't you paying attention to your own lies?
It's so funny how clueless he is now. But he's been reelected with a mandate.
Yep.
So, and almost as strong as his previous mandate. So he just gets to say crazy things. That's what we're going to have to put up with. Just saying crazy things.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.